Hello, my name is Jay Barnes, and it's an honor to welcome everyone to the Family Partnership 2016 Better Together Luncheon. For those of you that are new to the luncheon, welcome to the family. And for those of you that joined us before, it's good to have you back. Before we get things underway, I ask you to join me with thanking those who helped us make this event happen. Please hold your applause until the end. Thank you to the Family Partnership staff and volunteers who helped transform this room and bring us all together today. Thank you to all the courageous and strong speakers for sharing the stories with us today. And thank you to our sponsors for underwriting the cost of today's lunch: Midwest Plastic Surgery, Mortensen Construction, NTH, Valerie Spencer, Washer Foundation, funded by the Washer Automotive Group, BWBR, Northside Achievement Zone, Vertiva, Zayo Enterprise Networks, The Good Printer, Identity Printing, M. Paisley's Meeting and Event Planning, and Sunshine by Design and Soldering. I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you. Today, you are going to hear stories from individuals touched by the Family Partnership. Though these stories begin with hardship, they end with true stories of success. Right now, I'd like to share a little bit about how I became a part of the Family Partnership. My son, Romello, was 18 months when I started to look to get him into daycare. I already knew a little bit about the Family Partnership, so I decided that was the first place I would look into. On the first day when I took a tour there, I noticed a little group of kids around Romello's age using a lot more words than he was using and doing a couple more things that I noticed he couldn't do. I already had a couple friends comment on about the situation of him not talking as much or talking as much as he should be, so I knew he needed a little extra help. I knew the Family Partnership was more than just a preschool, and I felt very strong that it was the right place to put my son. Why? I always wanted Romello to learn in a diverse environment, which he could interact with all kinds of kids, and the Family Partnership definitely has that environment. Not only do the kids come from different backgrounds, but the staff does too. One of the first things they had me do when I brought my son to school was explain to them how me and my son communicated at home, because the teachers was having a hard time understanding him. And I never thought about it, because we did have our own little way of communicating. I never thought people would have a hard time. A few months later, one of the teachers told me that he was doing better with his speech, but it just wasn't quite there. We needed to do a few more things. I went home that day and I took a lot of pictures. I took a picture of me because I want him to learn the word dad. He has yet to call me dad around that time. And I took a picture of the most common things we use on a day-to-day basis, such as a ball, a cup, a bed, the TV, the car. I printed those pictures up at CVS and I made an album book so we could practice those words when we was at home or like riding in the car. By the end of his first year at daycare at the Family Partnership, he knew all the ABCs from capital to lowercase. He could recognize any color, and he was definitely talking a lot more. Romello is 3 now. He is 3 now, and just a few weeks ago when I came to pick him up from school, Miss Jennifer said she had something she wanted to show me. She showed me a list of the kids' names in his class. Then she set Mello down, and she had me listen to him read the names from the top to the bottom, to the top to the bottom of every student in his classroom name. I was so proud of him that moment. In addition to his speech, they also talked to me about his fine motor skills. They told me that they weren't where they were supposed to be. For example, he could put his shoes on, but putting his socks on was harder. They assured me that working with the teachers and the occupational therapists at the school, that they can help him do that by the end of the time when they got done working with him. Now he is much better at putting on his own socks and his shoes. While the Family Partnership has played a huge impact on my son's life, the staff has also helped me out too. One day about a year ago, I was picking my son up from daycare, and one of the teachers talked to me and said he had a rough day. She asked me what time I was putting him to sleep at night because she think it would be best if I put him to sleep at 8:30. Me knowing my son, I'm like, 8:30? He not gonna go to sleep at 8:30. He got too much energy. She gave me a few suggestions. She said, give them a bath, put them in the bed, and read them a book. A lot of the nights, I still be doing laundry or cleaning up around the house around 10 o'clock, so Romello was up with me. And then I would just turn the TV off. Well, that would set him off. It would be crying and fighting. So she suggested that I should just try those things and give it a try. So that night, I went home, I put him in the bath, I put him in the bed, and I had him pick out his favorite book, and I read him his book. And sure enough, it was no crying, no fighting, no tears. He fell right to sleep. The next day, she told me that it made a huge difference that he went to sleep earlier. And I thanked her for giving me that suggestion. What's really special about the family partnership is they care about my son, not just his learning. They care about him more than a child. They don't just treat him like a student. They look at him like he's one of theirs. And that just goes to show you, you don't have to be related to be family. So what are me and Romello up to now? Well, I currently work at an elementary school where I teach a reading group for the first half of the day in the morning. And in the afternoon, I work in the computer lab. And well, Romello, he's keeping me busy around these times. He constantly pointing out the letters and the colors that he have learned. But his favorite thing to do is showing me what he learned when I pick him up from school at the end of the day. Thank you again for letting me share mine and Romello's story to you guys. And thanks for joining us for lunch today. Please enjoy the meal. The program will resume shortly.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. If I were a youth worker, I would say, if you can hear me once, clap. But I'm not. I'm Molly Greenman, the president and CEO of the Family Partnership. Welcome again, thank you. Welcome again to our 2016 annual Better Together Lunch. As Jay said, for those of you who are here for the first time today, welcome to the family. And for those of you who've joined us before, and I gotta say, some of you have been coming here since our first lunch 10 years ago, and I so appreciate, and to all of you, welcome back. And thank you, Jay, for being here today and telling us about Romello. Some of our staff say in our preschool, we only take the cutest kids, and I think if you saw Romello, you would agree to that. And thanks for sharing your story. I also want to thank our sponsors and our table hosts. You all, we could not do this lunch without you, and our table hosts get all of you here today, and I am very grateful. And last but certainly not least, our Champion Society members. Could you raise your hands? Come on, don't be shy. I'll raise my hand. You'll know them by their orange ribbons. These individuals pledge significant ongoing financial support that helps maintain a strong and sturdy foundation for the family partnership and the children and families that we serve. So we've had quite a year since we last met here. Very exciting things. First of all, we served over 36,000 people out of our 5 service centers, in schools, community sites, churches, and homes in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and high-need suburbs. 36,000. In fact, if we were a city, we would be the 28th largest in Minnesota. $36,000. 4 out of 5 are living in or just a paycheck away from poverty. 75% are people of color, and about a quarter are immigrants. And of course, the majority are children. Now, the Family Partnership may be 138 years old, but today we are driven by our vision of a Twin Cities where every child and every family reach their full potential, and by our determination to end intergenerational poverty. And we have a lot to share with you today about our programs, but first I got to tell you about some exciting developments in our organization the last year. In 2015, the Family Partnership was selected by the Alliance for Strong Families and Communities to be one of only 10 organizations in the country and the only one in Minnesota to participate in an initiative called Change in Mind. Thank you. This initiative not only integrates neuroscience into our own programs, but also will create public awareness and inform public policy based on this research. Because it turns out that raising children isn't rocket science. It's brain science. Research has taught us that brains are not just born, they're built. And the experiences in the first 3 years of life strongly influence the physical architecture of the brain. So just as a home needs a sturdy foundation, so does a child. And most important are positive interactions between parent and child, like Jay and Romello. Now, what gets in the way of these positive interactions is toxic stress, abuse, neglect, addiction, mental illness, and chronic poverty. The very issues that the Family Partnership is uniquely equipped to respond to. And in 2015, the Family Partnership also began our Building for Better Futures campaign to expand and enhance our capacity to serve children and families far into the future. In the past 5 years, we've experienced phenomenal growth, 60% in fact. And while I think a lot of that has to do is it's a testament to our highly effective programs, it's also a troubling indication of growing need. For most of us in this room, the Twin Cities are a great place to live and raise a family. But thousands of our neighbors, because of socioeconomic status, race, immigrant backgrounds, just are being left behind. And the trend lines for the disparities are not pretty. So more on both of those to come in the next year. In the last year, I've been talking to a lot of people. In fact, a lot of you in this room. And sometimes I hear that the Family Partnership does so much. We do. Shouldn't you specialize more? Well, let me tell you, we do specialize in counseling, education, and advocacy. In our counseling programs, we specialize in mental health services for those who could not otherwise afford them, when and where families need them, and in languages they understand. Like our multisystemic therapy program, an evidence-based in-home service for youth who are at risk of being removed from their homes and put in correctional or treatment facilities. Last year, 92% of the kids that we worked with were able to stay in their own homes, keeping their families together and saving the community thousands of dollars. Now that's specialization. We served 7,000 people in all of our counseling programs last year, but there's still thousands more who, even with health insurance, have to choose between treating their diabetes or their depression because they can't afford the high deductibles or co-pays. And yet, at the Family Partnership, our capacity to reduce these charges for families who need a little help has been cut by 20%, forcing us to turn people away. I need your help to put together a wellness fund so that this does not continue to happen. In our education programs, we specialize with children living in poverty, and we help them get ready for kindergarten and then stay and succeed in school. Like our 4-star parent-aware therapeutic preschools, where children like Romello graduate ready for kindergarten. Our specialists in bilingual, bicultural programming, parent development, and occupational, speech, and physical therapists are experts in their fields. Did you know that in Minneapolis, only 54% of Hmong children are ready for kindergarten? Native American children, only 57% are ready. And in North Minneapolis, 59% of kids. Now last year at the Family Partnership, 83% of our graduates coming from these communities were ready to succeed. Funding for early education and care for families living in poverty it's an on-again, off-again proposition. The very kids who need consistent, high-quality care often don't get it. We have state scholarships, and they have made a difference, but they're not enough to close the gap. We've been unable to open a classroom simply because of lack of funds. So join me today and help us establish our own scholarship fund to make sure that children who need us most can come to our classroom and stay. And in our advocacy programs, we specialize in ending violence and sex trafficking, one life and one law at a time. Like our Pride program, the longest running anti-sex trafficking program in Minnesota. Last year, we helped over 400 women and teens get on the path to recovery, independence, dignity, and equality. And with our partners, we've secured $8 million to date to create a statewide response to sex trafficking, and it's a model for the rest of the country. Now, if you don't think this is a problem, I urge you to drive down East Lake Street anytime, any day, day or night. Like when I took our board of directors on a tour there over lunch one day, and a young woman was sold to a passing car right in front of us. We need your investment to double our Pride staff and get full funding for Safe Harbor if we're going to make a dent and make sure that every Minnesotan is protected from sexual exploitation. And in all of our programs, we specialize in families and in building relationships because we know this is the path to individual, family, and community change. This is how we will break generational cycle of poverty in Minnesota and build better futures for all. So you may have noticed, or maybe not, you may have noticed some small Legos at your table. And I'd like you to try a little exercise. Please use your Legos to create a little bridge exactly like this. You can see it better on the screen, I'm sure. So just give you a couple minutes. I'll just put it right there. Little Legos, not the big ones. You're not finding them? Okay, all right. You having a little trouble? Is it kind of difficult? Well, you can stop looking around for that orange piece because we have them. Our staff has them, I believe, those of you who have staff at your table, because our staff has and provides the missing pieces that are preventing children and families from bridging opportunity and achievement gaps. We provide the missing pieces that stabilize foundations to strengthen families and communities. Now, there's over 400 people in this room today. Pretty incredible. How many of you in this room are related to somebody else in the room? Let's see. Many, many. And when I look around this room, I see families I see descendants of families, generations of Minnesota families who have supported the family partnership since 1878. And with your help today, we will continue to build better futures for Minnesota's children and families for generations to come. The need is great and the time is now. Thank you for all you do.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jameer. I'm 18 years old. I'm a current student at Benil St. Margaret's across the highway. I am also working on making a decision for which college I'm going to. I am going to college, and hopefully in 4 years I will have a business degree, so whoever's out there, you know, I can get us paid. I can get us paid. Also, last year, I started working with NAS, 21st Century, that's one of their programs, and I will be continuing that this year in the summertime. So, yeah, working in the inner city with you. And my story is a little different. I wasn't the most down and out kid, you know. We struggled, but like I was better off than a lot of kids. I had a lot of mental stability and a lot of good things, but you know, you guys probably have teenagers. Some of you guys have teenagers, and you guys all know that teenagers, we do knucklehead stuff for no reason sometimes. I got caught shoplifting 2 years ago when I was 16. It was a week after state in wrestling. I've been to state 4 times. I just placed this year, 5th place, you know. But yeah, dumb situation. I was caught in this this blurry parallel of reality and idealism. You know, for some reason we get to a certain age and we think we're above the law. And right then and there, we always get checked. And luckily, my checking wasn't as big as some other people's checking. I ran into the family partnership after this, though, through Kiana and the Brooklyn Park diversion program. And I would say this program is a lot better than other programs. Other programs, they want you to pay an extended amount of funds, way more than probably what you picked up at there. And it's really hard because a lot of the people who are in these diversion programs, a lot of them are marginalized. So it doesn't make sense how you tax. It just, you know, systematically is gonna fail anyways. But this program, they make it easy for you to actually have a second chance. They give the marginalized first chance, which a lot of programs, they do, but there's always a catch. This one, they just want you to succeed. I learned then and there, it was an eye-opener. I can't make a difference in the world and in my community if I'm behind bars. So really, that was an eye-opener, that was a check, and I'm all about change, you know? In this program, they preach a lot of what my idols and who I look up to and what I would want to be one day preach, and the stressing that you must make a difference in the children in order for the world to actually change. So with that being said, you know, mentally, I'm more ahead of the average kid, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not institutionalized. I'm a little marginalized, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes, you know, it's very sad, you know, looking at certain things and being like, oh man, I can't buy that, you know. How am I gonna ask my mom to get this? But I come out of a lot of situations because I know better. So now, what I'm doing now, thanks to this program, kept me focused. You know, I was able, this season in wrestling alone, I was able to get 100 wins, become the first black student at my school to get 100 wins. I was able, thank you. I was able to become all conference. I was able to get the job done most of the time. Only reason why, I'm not gonna lie, I wrestled heavyweight. I'm heavy, but I'm not tall, so it's a lot harder. Yeah, it's like a buff Kevin Hart trying to go against like Yao Ming or something. But yeah, but anyways, it's like, you know, I am in a lot better place because of this program giving me a second chance and not letting me be burdened. Now I can focus on what I want to do in my future and change the community in the state, in the world in some type of way. And that I want to thank this program, and I think you guys should really be very generous this year with this program to keep this alive. It's not, there's a lot of programs starting, but a lot of them are closing. I think we got to keep these programs alive. It's beneficial to all of us, you know, everybody at every position if we all do our part. So with that being said, Jameer out. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending and supporting the Family Partnership. My name is Tracy, and I'm a survivor out of many things, thanks to God and the Family Partnership. Special thanks goes to the PRIDE program. If many of you don't know what PRIDE stands for, it stands for Promoting Recovery, Independence, Dignity, and Equality. Promoting a better way to live. Promoting a better way to live, recovery of many things and everyday life challenges, independence to take care of self, dignity, gaining self-worth, and equality, knowing the difference. I was first introduced to the PRIDE program in 2003 and continue to utilize their services into 2015. I bet a lot of you saying that's a long time. And it was, but it was worth every teardrop, sweat, laughter, fear that I could have experienced in a positive way. The Family Partnership helped me deal with mixed emotion and trauma without going back to what I thought was best, and that was the street life. PRIDE helped me to get to where I am today and also to find out who I was. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my life before entering the Family Partnership. I was homeless, being exploited, getting physically abused, addicted to drugs, and on top of that, I lost communication with my kids and family. I had to have sex with people for food and shelter, and at the same time, my addiction began to escalate because I was trying to cope with life on a daily basis just to survive for that day. I was so lost and alone, I thought I would die out there in the streets. My life began to spiral down real fast. I started having issues with the law, getting picked up for prostitution. After so many times bumping heads with the law, they gave me an ultimatum to either go to jail or attend the PRIDE program and be placed on probation. So I decided to do the PRIDE program and be placed on probation, even though I didn't want to go, but it was better than going to jail. As I was released, I was still in the same situation with nowhere to go, no food to eat, nowhere to sleep. But instead of going back to what I thought was normal, which was the street, I decided to see what the PRIDE program had to offer. So I decided to go, even though I didn't want to go, but I was curious about the program. When I started participating in the program, I relapsed a couple of times, but the more I kept trying, the more the PRIDE advocates extended their hand to pull me up. Giving all thanks to Miss Artika Roller, Charisma Smith, known as CC, my mom, and my kids being with me every step of the way. The services offered food, hygiene, bus tokens, and they also gave you gift cards to get you something special to make you feel worthwhile. At that time, that's the only reason that I was going, you know, for the material things. At the beginning, they also offered, the services they also offered was like food, and it was a warm place to go at that time, and it kind of like kept me safe, and I was okay to go for that hour and a half. It was like food and a warm place to go, so I went. Then I started to understand and realize what PRIDE was there for and the motive behind the scenes, which was to see youth and adults come out of their current situation. They made me feel special, and they gave unconditional love, which I haven't felt in a long time. And they wanted nothing but for me to come to groups, and they did the rest. I started attending on a regular basis, and I really seen myself wanting the help they had to offer. For instance, the groups was based on growth, learning to love myself, motivate me, determination, using my support system, and staying away from negativity that may take me back to the unhealthy lifestyle that I once engaged in. Even though I still had my challenges, I never gave up. I started feeling better about life and what it had to offer. The advocates believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. A little more about the program and what it offered. Pride helped me build my self-esteem, utilize other healthy ways to live. They also motivated me, encouraged me, and showed me more than enough love regardless of the situation I was in. The family partnership saved my life. And today, I am still a work in process with the challenges that I face every day. Today, I'm a family advocate at the Family Partnership with my family. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story and have the rest of the afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Tracy, for this amazing story. I'm Paul Begansky. Kathy and I have been enthusiastic supporters of the Family Partnership for almost 10 years now. I'd like to thank them for those 10 years of amazing work that you guys have heard a little bit about, and for giving us this opportunity to say a few words. We consider ourselves very fortunate, and I think you do too. If you are here, you won in the lottery of life. So congratulations. Give yourself a hand. We all did. And most of us believe, and I think we're correct, that our success is due to our hard work and some right choices that we made along the way. And for me, probably the best choice in life was the choice of my partner, Kathy, and I think you all agree she's awesome. So. However, as I was recently reminded on a trip to India and China, there are some choices in life that we do not get to make. There are choices we cannot take credit for. It doesn't matter how hard we work or how smart we think we are. Specifically, a child cannot choose when and where they're born. They cannot choose what circumstance they're born into. And a child cannot educate themselves. These are simple facts, and these are also what social scientists like Kathy call determinants. These are factors that can and usually do permanently change one's trajectory of life. I know they certainly did for me. And I suspect that most of you would agree that we've gotten pretty lucky when it comes to those choices in our life, and none of them were really ours to choose. And consider early childhood education, which we've heard so much about. As an investor, I find it pretty fascinating. It really is the ultimate one-time opportunity. It's something that appears once in a lifetime. It has a great payback, and then it disappears forever. Nobody can replicate it in that one lifetime. If you waste an opportunity to educate a child, you can't fix it. The child grows up, that's it. Early education is one of those things that cannot be redone. It really is a one-time deal. Many of the choices we make in life, we can redo, we can change them. If you take the wrong job, you can find another one. If you miss out on a trip, you can go again next year. Even if you fall in love with the wrong person, they break your heart, you may find someone else. But if you do not give a kid the basic tools of early education at the right time, they will be at a critical disadvantage forever. And remediating that is a very expensive process. It takes many, many years. Trying to fix it is sort of like trying to fix an investment portfolio by traveling back in time and trying to invest early on in the Google IPO. You just can't do it. But unlike Google, we don't have to go back in time here. We know exactly when these once-in-a-lifetime opportunities to invest in a child's life occur. You've seen them all. And we know exactly what their effect will be. And the interesting thing is that an investment in a child's early education actually pays off far better than most real investments. For every dollar spent, you get about $11 back, which is 1,100%, which, and I Googled this, it's almost as good if you haven't invested in the Google IPO. And there are only about 10 stocks that have returned that ever. So, and unlike Google, this is not not at all rare. Fortunately and unfortunately, as you've seen, there are many opportunities like that right here, because they may occur once in a lifetime of the child who needs it, but there's plenty of them in our lifetime. I've read thousands of business plans. They all describe in great detail how companies will change the world and how they'll make investors a lot of money. Some of them succeeded. Some of you guys are right in this room. Congratulations. And the way I look at it, the opportunity right here in front of us is the simplest business plan you can think of. It says, take a little bit of money, do a lot of good, and make a difference that will last many lifetimes. It's about as simple as you can imagine. Now, of course, jokes aside, this is not just a business, it's a partnership. It's a real family partnership. As a family, Katie and I, we choose to make this long-term investment, not just because it makes financial sense, because it's a good deal, but we truly believe that we're very lucky to be members of this community. This community, all of you are part of our family, and as members of a family, we do have a shared responsibility, and that's a responsibility to make sure that every child someday gets to look back and gets to say what we say almost every day: I've been lucky to have been member of this community, that this is my community. Thank you. Now I'll turn it over to my better half.
Good afternoon. My name is Kati Mohamedzadeh, and I have been honored to serve on the board of the Family Partnership since 2007. I'd like to thank all of you today for taking time from your very busy lives to spend an hour with us. You know, Paul's a business person, and as a business person, he thinks in terms of investments. I'm a political scientist, so I have a slightly different perspective. In my profession, I spend a lot of time thinking about concepts of citizenship, community, and participation. Not citizenship as a legal construct, who gets to vote and who doesn't, although that's plenty important. I'm referring to citizenship as the chance and ability to fully participate in American society and to achieve the American dream. Paul and I are both immigrants from far-flung places. We are deeply aware that, as a great man once said, nowhere else in the world is our story possible. The strong foundation of our families met the America of possibilities, and it has truly been a match made in heaven. We are so grateful. But now, having achieved our dream, we look around and we see too many in our beloved city not able to fully participate in that dream, to fully engage their citizenship. The Family Partnership is here to help families with the basic building blocks of life: a strong early educational foundation, strong mental health, and passionate advocacy on behalf of our families. As most of you in this room can attest, all families need help at some time or another. Our family did. There is nothing more unsettling and heartbreaking than when your child has a problem that you cannot alone fix. When Paul and I needed help for our family, we had the resources and the knowledge to access help. We believe every family should have access to education, advocacy, and counseling for and on behalf of their children. We are so proud to belong to a community that believes in every family and every child. But where do we begin? The problems are large, the causes are systemic. We either face up to the challenge or we simply accept that there are families and children in our community that will never participate in the American dream. Ladies and gentlemen, I, for one, am not prepared to write off large swaths of our community. Yes, the challenges are daunting and the need is great, but I believe there is no child beyond reach, there is no family beyond help, and there is no individual beyond redemption. My life has been full of helping hands pulling me up. My parents, my teachers, my friends, my husband, and now that I'm getting older, even my children. I hope you'll join me today in offering a hand to families and children, our neighbors in this amazing community. If the table hosts would kindly pass around the contribution envelopes, I'd like to tell you about how we can work together to embrace every member of our community. I would encourage you today to make a multi-year champion pledge at the level that feels right for you. Paul and I have been champions for many years, and not only because we believe so strongly in the mission of the Family Partnership, but we also believe in making a long-term commitment to the health of families and children. What will your money achieve? Here are just a few examples. Your $50,000 contribution can provide 3 children preschool for a whole year. $25,000 can cover therapeutic needs of 6 survivors of sex trafficking. $10,000 can expand our services to at-risk youth. $5,000 can provide health care coverage to otherwise ineligible immigrants. $1,000 can establish a summer program for teens, and as little as $500 can provide a safety plan for a survivor of intimate partner violence. Paul and I would like to extend our very deepest gratitude for any level of support you may give today. Thank you again for sharing your time with us, and from our family to yours, we wish you peace and happiness. Thank you.
Please continue to write your checks. Where's my checkbook? Wow, thank you, Kathy and Paul. And thank you all for joining us today and for investing in the Family Partnership. My name is Michelle Edgerton, and it is my privilege to serve as the Chief Advancement Officer here at the Family Partnership. I hope you were encouraged and inspired by the program today. And most importantly, you leave here today knowing that you are an integral part of our family and that we are better together. Now, I could stand here for another hour thanking each of you for your contribution today, but I'll save that for our follow-up conversation. Instead, I'll leave you today with a message from a few of my very special friends. Thank you.